Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands and states of WNR554. It's NXT update. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
It's great. It's great. Always excited to be back. Talking about, like I always say, our baby, good old NXT. We're in a fantastic time of the year. It's always cool to kind of watch where we are going into a big show like Stand and Deliver. Also, like with WrestleMania season. I can't wait to talk. It's some details about Stand and Deliver that I hope we get to on the show too, because I definitely want to know what you think about it. But so just I'm always excited this time of year. I expect NXT to kind of put their best foot forward. Because the funny thing about this time of year is, we expect bigger storylines to get some type of payoff and, kind of introduce where we're heading going into the next calendar year of NXT. But also, it's always interesting to see like where we are with certain talent that may be on the main roster next year. Because after Stand and Deliver is usually not that long, maybe a few months every now and then, give or take, before we start seeing talent. More different talent graduating and going up possibly. So it'd be interesting to see if how much change will we see in that regard, if any, and what new faces will pop up. So to kind of get to this point, I'm always excited to talk about it because, like I said, NXT is trying to build towards their biggest show, but we also
Mm.
just have so much to look forward to in general going forward, as we reset.
Yeah, and we've worked so hard to get to this point. Come on, man. We've
Right.
got through 2.0. We've had the end of NXT UK and all this lot. So it
Isn't
is
this like the
finally
most consistent NXT has been since we've basically been doing
yeah
this? Like,
yeah.
it's like the most consistent as far as like an era. I know they changed the color scheme, but basically post 2.0, it's been this is the best that we've gotten. We haven't even, please knock on wood, we haven't even had 25 NXT people disappear or get fired out of
Yeah,
nowhere. So
yeah.
so yeah, man, I'm always excited. So we've been getting additions to the roster, and I'm just really, really excited to what we have going forward and the possibilities, going forward. And but we got to, before we can go forward, we gotta take a month back. Let's
Yeah.
recap a month. So
Nice. You can tell we've been doing it a while. But I will say I want to peel the curtain back a little bit because I never lie to the listeners. We
hmm
are trying something new, recording wise. So again, it might sound a little bit different. And again, we just try it. It's exciting, and plus I'm really behind the time. So and apparently Skype is gonna like shut down soon. So I'm just glad. Like Monty, you told me basically, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it.
yeah, but I saw the alert and I'm like, you better let James know. I don't know if he I don't know how much how informed he is on the fact. I'm glad I said something, because if I didn't send it to you, imagine that we just getting ready for a show, and then you get on your computer and they're just like, this Skype is no longer
Yeah, man, yeah.
available, and you just sitting there mad confused. So I'm glad we had enough time to kind of seek out where we can go to next. And like you said, it's a trial, but please let us know.
Yeah.
You guys always complain or compliment us in the email, so please let us know if this sounds too weird. Is it great? Is it better? Let us know what we can do, because this is all about you guys as far as the quality goes. But yeah, I'm excited though. I'm always excited to try something different.
Yeah, right. And again, it's good that Jackson and Jean aren't here. 'Cause you know what Jaxie's like. She's just getting my back about technology again. So, and I only stopped using dial-up a couple of months ago. So, you know what I mean? It's with the times. It's with the
Baby
times.
steps.
Yeah. Anyway, like you said, we have 4 episodes of NXT on the way to Stand and Deliver, but we will hit a roadblock. So let's begin then. March 4th, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Sol Ruka and Zarya. And Sol Ruka pinned Chelsea with the Soul Snatcher. This was a really good match to start. And again, sometimes we just carry on from an update to the next, but it would make sense if a tag team title was around. I'm just saying.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I remember when Ronda. I think it was Ronda and Shane. I remember when they retired the belts or whatever. Anyway, and I just was always against it. And then it's like how ironic that we pretty much go into the greatest era of women's wrestling in this show's history, or at least as far as from a quantity standpoint and having the bodies, because the biggest problem for those belts in NXT is that it was only two or three teams at the most vying for them. So the fact that they couldn't survive long enough for us to get to where we are now, where we could have even more women, competing and doing importing things, maybe less weird relationship angles and more wrestling for tag titles if we actually had belts like that on this roster. But at the end of the day, uh, I don't know. It seems like right now, we could probably talk about it in a second. We may be heading towards getting some help in that regard from Impact, at least right now. I don't know if we're gonna if anybody from NXT will actually get those knockout tag belts, but we seem to be fledging out their tag division.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And again, I'm watching Impact, and the Knockouts division has taken a hit with the influx of kind of NXT talent, which again is either positive or negative, depending on your
Right.
kind of view of it. But like you said, it's weird that there's more tag teams now than there was when there were two sets of tag team titles. But hey, what can you do? You know,
Yeah, man.
um, Cora Jade talks trash on Jordan Grace, and Masha Slamovich says she's going to beat Masha for the TNN Knockouts Championship. Jordan says if she wins the title, she'll retire. Don't overreact, Jordan, eh? Ava tells him to take it to the ring, and that's that. Trick Williams having a heated conversation with Ava. She's all about it in the back. Cal Dixon and Uriah Connors roll up with a gift basket for her. This would lead to a match later, an actual match. Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan. Both women gave their best shots, but once Jordan missed the 450, she was in a position to be hit with a hip tonic. And Parker called out Judith and Stephanie Vaquer and said she'd be watching their match at Roadblock. And again, not to hit on this too long, but it just shows you how packed the women's division is when you just get this one as a kind of not even a throwaway match, but even like the fillers now in NXT is just good women action.
Yeah, and then like you said, it also gave with the challenge after the match, kind of giving it weight also for it meant something. Like this feud is also means something. But like I said, NXT is in a great era right now for women's wrestling to the point to where we're getting good mid card or however you want to view it, not main title feuds, and they pay off. And I also want to give a shout out to Kaylani because this is a really good performance by both ladies here. And we talked about Jada's progression and just how she seems to be getting better. But Kalani, who was somebody who I thought needed work in the character department. I think so far this kind of thing they're doing with her character and trying to invoke a mean streak and to work with Jada, I think so far has done a really good job for her in at least in regards to giving us something to latch on to. Like I said, the biggest issue with Kaylani so far in her young career has been like, the moves are great. We know who our influences are by just by how she wrestles, but what is there to latch on to as a character? And I think so far they're doing a pretty good job of setting the groundwork to building something in that regard for her.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see the family interviewed backstage. Tony D says his mother always told him if you don't have anything good to say about women, you shouldn't say anything. Okay. We
Okay.
get clips of Obafemi press conference. He said he doesn't take representing the brand lightly. He'll make Moose wish he never left the NFL. He's done taking questions, leave us saying he's going to walk in as NXT champion and walk out as NXT champion. And again, Monty, we've spoken about Obafemi before, but this guy's been in it, what, a year, and he's giving promos like this. You know, I don't know how. Can you explain that's just how difficult that is? You know what I mean? It's
I
just
mean, it's kind of I think, like I said, just got to give kudos to him because we've seen it. We've seen some people go their whole careers without really getting comfortable in seeming comfortable on the mic. But I think the conviction is there. I think the thing that's helping Oba is that out of almost everybody who I hope we've seen grasp it. I think this was what was so good for Melo too is like the confidence in who they were just seemed to be there from the beginning. And I think Obafemi, no matter before he was champion or what or not, he has always kind of had that vibe that the ruler is truly something that he believes in and is something that he is. He's not really just playing a character. He really embodies right now what that is. And I think that is kind of one of those things that really helps him shine.
Mm.
And he's been delivering the messages clear, and you believe what he says because of that. Like I said, that emotion, that faith that he kind of gives off when he speaks. So I don't think people realize just how important, at least from my viewing point of view, and all the content I've watched when wrestlers describe what it was like when the character finally clicked for them.
Mm.
A lot of times they say it's about conviction. And, I've seen some people say when they got given shit hands or shit stories, you just got to believe it. And you'd be like, well, I'm sorry, you can't make Abe Knuckleball Schwartz work. I'm sorry, you just can't make that work. But you do have to believe in who you are, and if they're taking something from your real personality and you just turn it up, that's what it feels like. You're getting that classic mix of just reality and who the ruler is supposed to be from a television point of view. And I think that's why he's so good at it, man. Like I don't know what you say, but you listening to what Obafemi says, no matter
Yeah.
what. And I think that's another thing too. He commands, and a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't ever seem to be able to get that. So the fact that he got it right now, like you said, in a year, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, without a doubt. I could add to it, but it would just ruin what you just said. The the Hardy Boys made their entrance to get on the mic. Jeff Stark saying it feels good to be in NXT and even better to be at home in WWE. Oh,
Oh,
how many times? Enter Hank and Tank. Tank Ledger apologised for interrupting and says they came out here for advice from the goats. Hank asks what they need to do to get to the next level. Matt says he hasn't got a fucking clue who these guys are. Enter Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Briggs tells the Hardy they can give Hank and Tank all the advice under the sun, but they're wasting their breath. Hank and Tank dive on Briggs and Inamura and a brawl breaks out. Fractum appear behind the Hardys and Broken Matt burbles out, I knew you'd come. Before turning round to see them, they talk about the match in 7 days and pledge to find out who the best tag team is. I mean, at least we got Fraxium and Hardys, you know what I mean? Like that,
yeah.
that's a positive.
Good times, man. That's what I will say. That good times. Yeah. It's great to see them. It's always great to see them back. It's great when I see them in Impact. I just like seeing people like that who kind of define not only a generation, but just tag team wrestling. It's cool to see them still going despite everything we know they've been through. So to see them in a place like NXT is kind of surreal, but at the same time, it makes sense. Makes so much sense. And then again, doing the stuff with Action, pretty much since they posted that photo that they met backstage, I'm pretty sure anybody who's been paying attention has been waiting for like
Mm-hmm.
that, the potential match and what that would look like. So I'm just happy in it. I'm just happy that we're in this timeline where we're able to see stuff like this. When you think about just how many dream matches, like how long that, if we think about it, I know we got the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE now, but when you have teams like the Motor City Machine Guns, or you had Beer Money in the past, and how long did you want them to fight a tag team that you like in
Yeah.
WWE, the Usos or whatever, however you want to, whoever you want to put in that position. So the fact that we're in a timeline where we get that now, even if it's on NXT, and I understand some of the apprehensiveness about the partnership, but this is damn cool because again, I come from just like pure WWE where no one else existed. So the fact that we get to see something cool like this, and then we're getting to see it for free on just television,
Yeah,
like come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
man, like we spoiled, man. We're spoiled in that regard, really are.
Yeah, we don't know how lucky we are. We saw Massive Slamovich is shown in the front row for Cora Jade versus Jordan Grace. But back from commercial, medics are checking on Cora in the corner, and she gets to the feet and help to the back. This is not good, but again, we weren't sure what it was. It probably looks like a concussion. I'm not sure if she could be cleared for action against Masha. And again, another setback for Cora. It's never good to see.
Yeah, man, it was unfortunate. I mean, I saw the panic of the night at that night, and a lot of people definitely were panicked, expecting or possibly seeing that we could be losing her for a long time again. But luckily, she said she cleared that up basically the same night that she's not in that bad of shape. She's fine, and I think that's kind of made me be like, okay, cool. At least we don't have to worry about the potential of it being worse than we know. So it was definitely unfortunate. to see because not only did I want to see the match, just see what her and Jordan could do. It was just unfortunate in general because uh you know what she's been through. And
Mm.
I said this about like even on Nikita Lyons or just whoever. When you're in NXT still in developmental and you run into an injury bug, especially the serious type. Like I said, luckily this seems to be minor. But like if you run, if I'm always worried when we see someone who hasn't even had a chance to really scratch the surface of what they could be, and then they get hurt a lot down in NXT. Because then you got to start to wonder, like, all right, how much of a ceiling, even like a Shotzi, who I think we all love Shotzi,
Mm.
especially NXT, and it's just like, man, how how far can she really go with her injury history, or how willing would they be to push you when the time comes because of injury history and stuff like that. That's the type of
Yeah.
stuff that run through my mind. So I'm happy that
But
this was minor.
yeah, but I'm just glad though, because again, it could go the other way, and maybe it would have done 10 years ago or so with Jordan Grace. Someone coming in from outside the company, coming in and being like, "Oh,
Oh
look,
yeah, you're
I mean,
dangerous or whatever.
and
Yeah,
to be fair to Grace, she's probably is like, I better put a little bit more pep in my step, so to speak. But sometimes. But again, it's all worked out. It's fine. All ego, Ethan Page and Javon Evans were hooked up for a satellite interview. They bicker and ask for final words and talk over each other at length. We then get Carl Dixon versus Trick Williams. Williams blasts Dixon with trick shot out the gates and hammers him with mounted punches to where the referee has to shove him off and calls it immediately. Post match, Eddie Thorpe shows up on the balcony to call Trick out as we go to a break. We then get Moose getting a turn at the press conference. He says the match against Obafemi is the only TNA NXT match he wanted, and he waited until he can get it. And Oba's been a hell of a champion. He's going to be a major player for years to come, but he's not going to be NXT champion because he's leaving with both titles. Now, the thing with Moose, again, you can tell how much this means to him. So
yeah,
whatever everybody else says, Moose has worked for this opportunity, and it is a big deal.
yeah. No, 100%, 100%. You can tell. Uh, uh, you can see or hear a little bit of the passion about what he's going to be doing here and just how important this is. And that's all. That's all you really can hope for. Not all, but that's really what you like to see in the most, from the most part, in my opinion. When you have stuff like this on the table, is that you just want to see that type of passion or that type of willingness to go out there and do what you have to do because like it's kind of like you mentioned the past in reference to you mentioned the past in reference to like what it would have been like with Jordan maybe years ago, uh, with that type of bad luck in an early match in your debut. It's the same thing can be said about being someone who's like world champion quality or whatever, fighting someone like Obafemi who still has a lot to prove. He could come in this with a bad attitude, but he's looking forward to this, and he worked like it, and like you said, the promo you could hear it and tell, and like again, I'm not one of those people whoever sugarcoated how I necessarily feel about some of the stuff Moose has been what he's done and what he's been up to and some of the stuff he said. But I will never tell you Moose can't go in that ring and do his job. And he's always been one of the best in the world at that. And I don't think I could ever take away from that. And I was definitely still looking forward to this contest because, again, how could you not? I mean, the again, not only is it lends back to what I was saying about how beautiful it is to have a partnership where this is possible, but also uh, look at those two guys, man, and just look at how much sense it makes. Two badasses, big guys going at it and trying to prove who the best. And at the end of the day, that's what the pro wrestling I fell in love with. That's one of the core elements of it. Just putting two people that we both can agree are badasses in the ring and let them go throw down.
Yeah, without a doubt. Ava Rain looked like she's finished for the evening, but Fatal Influence demanded Fallon Henley get a rematch. But Ava just walks away. Ricky Saints fell into Ridge Holland. Please, God, no. Ricky, I just no. Anyway, Ricky carries on. He runs into Sean Spears, and Spears says this revolution will be televised when he wins the North American Championship. Well, at least they got to do something with Ricky. We'll speak about him in a little bit because we've got Sean Spears versus Tony D'Angelo for the NXT North American Championship.
Yeah.
Rizzo dived on Izzy Dame, and both men's factions start brawling. We love a faction brawl, especially Sean and Triple H. I'm not going to lie. Sean shoves him into Tony, with Stacks getting involved, and Tony D crashes the floor. His back spasming. Spears takes him back inside C4, but Tony D managed to kick out. Tony goes for the spine buster, but his back gives up, and Sean pins him, and he is your new NXT North American champion. I would never thought I'd be upset about Tony D losing a title, Monty.
He found like Sean found a way for us to yeah, he found a way for me to be sympathetic for him. You know, I didn't really want. I remember I wasn't really a big fan of Tony D ever really getting the belt in the first place, but I definitely was not a fan of this situation. To be fair, I mean, I I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand the thought process because new faction. They did all of this and they tried to do what they could with I mean, they told a story with the accidental type of spot that kind of set this up. Yeah, they told a different story with the spot that kind of set this up, and pretty much since Izzy kind of did what she did, you probably could expect this, and not necessarily the title change. I still probably wouldn't expecting that, but I definitely expected Spears and them to try to have to get some type of thing to establish them. So I guess I get it from that point of view, but from a purely do I want to watch this point of view, or purely from a purely from a like I posted it and I meant what I said. I know I saw some people like, oh, give it a chance and something. Like, I understand, guys. You're right. I should probably give the angle, give Sean or whatever, give them a chance. But it's not about that. It's more so just from the standpoint of my North American title. We are going from we are literally declining in quality for me, if you ask me. Like we're steadily on the downturn.
We're heritage cupping it. That's what
right,
we're doing.
exactly. We are going down if you talk about the quality of champions, because you cannot tell me from the Keith Lees, the Swerves, the Adam Coles, the Carmelo Hayes, and like the epic run of Wesley to the great Obafemi. And then we had, Tony D, which I was like, okay, all right, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but all right, whatever. Tony D is okay. And then we go to Sean Spears, and it's like, wow, this. And I think the thing is for me is that I was bragging on North American title is one of them lineages that you can brag on. It's one of the few lineages in WWE at the moment, or at least at the time, that still had one of those things where I'm like, hey, you can say whatever you want about the North American title, but it's always had a quality champion into it. And then it's like, can I still say that? Can I still say that? So I don't know. I mean, again, maybe I'm being too harsh on it. Maybe something good will come around. I don't hate Sean Spears. I just don't think him or anything he's doing is the most interesting thing in the world. And that's pretty much where I stand on it in that regard. But the match was solid. I'll say that. And like, I got the story about it. I mean, let me tell you this. I watched, and this you might get a kick out of this. I watched Zach Gowen versus Vince McMahon in Vengeance 2003. and and like I watched that match back and I couldn't believe it. I was like, hold up, am I enjoying this match? And like, cause most of it was just Vince beating up on Zach, who had one leg.
Mm-hmm.
But then Zach made his comeback, and then
With
Vince,
a fucking chair in it, yeah.
yeah, Vince freaking loses his mind and takes the chair shot, and it cuts him in the back of the head. But like Zach misses the moonsault order, like the corkscrew he did, and then Vince just pins him. It was like one of those lackluster type of finishes. It's just like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, but then once I saw how bad Vince was bleeding, I'm like, you know what? No, get that man out of the ring. Get him out of the ring. I don't think he could do anything else. So that's kind of how I felt with the finish of just, my back hurt, and then get pinned. I was just, so all right. So like, it didn't even feel like a confident decision, if you see what I'm trying to say. No, like the way it was done wasn't even like, yeah, Sean, we really believe in you. You know what I mean? That's all.
The thing is, no, there's a couple of things from it though, which is, first off, it's Sean Spears, winning the title, and it's like, look, everybody from AEW that comes will win a title. So get the good ones to come over.
Okay.
We've seen with Ricky Starks, and again, talk about transitional champion. The guy who's beating you is talking to you before you win the title, and it's like it's going to happen at Stand and Deliver, surely. So I don't think Spears going to have a kind of long reign. And again, we're going to get a Stacks fucking heel turn, which we
Yeah.
don't want.
No,
Like
yeah,
Tony
nobody's asking
D.
for it.
Tony D's got nothing left unless he goes for like the NXT title. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I think I saw that, and hey, for the first time, by the way, Jay, I seen somebody actually saying they're excited for the potential of Tony D taking the belt off over Femi. And I'm like, man, we're watching two different shows. Oh, hey, Tony D got some fans online. I don't know. Like I said, maybe me and you, sometimes that's why you gotta actually talk to other people, see what they think. We can do it. I still vehemently disagree with those people, but I'm just saying, it's people out there who like him like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, losing your belt out, to my back hurt, and then yeah. But hey,
Yeah.
congrats to Sean. I don't want to take away from you, Sean. Congrats.
No. Anyway,
Incredible.
on to Impact. We got the NXT champion over Femi and the TNA X Division champion Moose going face to face. Moose was flanked not only by his allies and assistant, but a team of security guards.
I don't blame him.
Femi credits Moose for his dominance in TNA over the last several years, but Moose doesn't face anybody like him. Moose called himself the face of the franchise. You know what happened next. Security jumped Femi, but Femi beat the fucking piss out of him. He took down Eddie and Myers as well, but Moose caught him with the spear and stood tall. This was nice because, again, it felt meaningful watching Impact
Yeah.
with the build connected to Roadblock coming up.
Yeah, man. I just really think that's one thing I give kudos of. I know again with a lot of the stuff because Impact has to impact. So with the news that of the last week or so from Impact, I've seen a lot more discourse about, oh, don't worry, WWE's just gonna buy them and whatever. I don't know about any of that. I don't know what's gonna happen in that regard. But right now, they've been doing a really good job, in my opinion, of working together. Like you said, especially up to Roadblock and just the way that they've been, allocating time for the build to continue. It's like you said, we usually when we're going through these NXT shows, you just go straight to the next NXT, and that's your next logical addition. But no, they're continuing it on the Impact show, and that's just it's just really cool because again, for example, even in AEW's like partnerships with the New Japans and other stuff they've done, you don't get that type of
Yeah.
continuation. It's just still two separate promotions. You just see overlap with the talent. Not in this regard. We're getting, like you said, a continuation of the angle on Impact, and that's just really cool.
Yeah, and not only that, we saw Massa Slamovich dressing her up, come in
Yeah.
defense against Cora Jade. Speaking of Jade, she interrupted Slamovich, but Slamovich was blindsided by Tessa Blanchard until
Yay.
Lee Ying Lee made the save. Of course, we all remember her. I actually can't remember her name now from
Zaya Lee.
Lee. Thank you very much. That's why you're there. Blanchard and Jade leave the impact zone together. Like I said, it might not happen, but of course this was pre-taped. And then heading to the big one, March 11th, NXT Roadblock. And this felt special. And again, this event felt it was for us. I mean, especially me for putting up with Impact for so long. But like I said, finally getting these crossover matches, and Roadblock opened with a TNA Tag Team title belt with Matt and Jeff Hardy defending against Fraxium. The brothers used their usual huge pop from the WWE crowd, and Matt and Axiom started the match, and the veteran took the young man to school, slamming his head into every turnbuckle he could find. The crowd chanted delete, and then the masked man spent a few minutes on defense against both Hardys for finally making a tag to Frazier. Jeff countered the high-low finish of Fraxium, hit a swanton bomb with Frazier to score the win and retain the TNA titles in a great showdown. I mean,
Yeah.
this is awesome chance before the bell were just justified. I mean, we knew it would be a good match. You know what I mean? But again, I just loved it.
I agree. 100%. I mean, this was, I don't want to spoil what we're going to talk about, but I will say it. I don't know if we're going to actually do like a recap question about this show. I watched the show from beginning to end, and man, this really started off one of my favorite nights probably in NXT ever. I would have to really look back and think about a weekly type that a non-takeover, even though I know the Roadblock technically has like the theme type of takeover thing to it, but I'm really gonna have to go back and think about how much I enjoyed a non-takeover NXT show like I enjoyed this one. This is like you said, the way this started off, man, was just incredible. The energy from the fans, you could tell everybody in the arena knew that this was a big deal. These are two of the best teams. You got one of the best teams of all time, and you got pretty much someone who has the resume or building the resume of becoming one of the best teams. Definitely in NXT history, but like maybe even all time, depending on how long they decide to keep it up, if they can keep it up. Because again, the will they want they seem to be just a part of their superpower, but they couldn't overcome it in this one. That, by the way, the actual spot that kind of did them in, the kick was so perfectly done. Like, oh my god, like the angle on there, I was like, oh my goodness, and it was just so well done. Like, yeah, no, that was really well executed, and then the Hardys, just using their vet. I mean, it was just everything about this match, in my opinion, was done perfectly. Not only from a execution standpoint, but also just from a storytelling, because they won because they are the more cohesive tag team. You know, the experience and all of that, and that just makes sense. You know, that's definitely the way it was supposed to go, because we know at the end of the day, as great as Acumen Frazier is, there's a reason why every other week they have to kind of let everybody know fracturing is fine. They got to kind of let everybody know that they're doing fine. So yeah, man. Just I don't know. I can't say enough. At this point, we need to turn these updates into like the Fraxium Glaze update or something, because I don't. Hey, I can talk about them all day long. Like I'm telling you, I'm still telling friends. I got people. I got a friend of mine messaged me the other day. He's like, man, I'm bored. I need to watch this. Hey, I got something for you. I sent them a Fraxium match, because that's how much I enjoy watching them do their thing. Because I'm a fan of tag team wrestling, especially when it's done right. And like I said, right now, consistently, who's doing it better?
Yeah, well, I should say as well, and give the YouTube channel a little bit of a plug. We do this Stone Cold Stunner series. The Fraxium one is one of the most viewed ones that we have had released. So hopefully people are getting on the Fraxium train, even out they just like watching them get stunned. But again, I made notes like this was a kind of PLE as well, because I was thinking about how Fraser does the little things right. Like when he hits the Phoenix Splash, he didn't come down on his knees as he was too close to Jeff Hardy. And then then we see fucking Nathan, like you said, Axiom landed on Fraser's head, and you go, oh
Yeah.
shit, maybe the little things don't really matter. But all I want now, to be fair, and another thing as well, should say, everything Jeff does looks like it hurts him, it was not. Again, it's just the miles on the clock. But
Yeah.
I've just said that. I will say this: get the ladders ready now. We want the NXT titles on the line with these two teams. That's what we want to stand and deliver shortly.
I would love it, but like you just mentioned, I mean, regular matches, Jeff looks like he barely gets through it. Do I want to? I saw a spot. As a matter of fact, I see him do it. Maybe he should do it, because if he can survive that spot, I saw an Impact where he just landed he took the brunt of all of that ladder bump. I don't know exactly who they were wrestling, but like that, I seen him take a bump not too long ago, a couple weeks back in Impact, right on the ladder, and I was like, Jeff, you don't have to do this anymore. But maybe they can make the young guys take one of those scary bumps. Like throw Frazier through one. He's young. He got a couple bumps like this. Jeff don't need to take them. But yeah, I'm not. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still. That's why I see being a fan is so hard sometimes, because as a fan, yes, I want to see it. But as a empathetic human being, I don't know if I want to see Jeff in another ladder match. But hey, for the story and just two great teams going out there and throwing caution to the wind and stand and deliver, I'm down for it.
Well, there's also a funny thing about Impact as well, because Jeff won half tag team champions, just beat Fraxium, and then he was put in a ladder match with Moose for the X Division title. And
So that was after this match.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
he's just
god.
like,
Okay.
okay, just put him in there with Moose and let him kill him then, I suppose. Like fucking Paul.
So never
Jeff.
mind. He definitely could do a tag match if they just
That's what
throwing
I'm
him in there
saying.
with Moose.
Backstage, Mickey James is chatting with Jada Parker about going out and making your own opportunity. That was a nice touch. Stax wants to make up to the Don. I think this will end well. We then get Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez, and the Juggernaut immediately asserted their dominance and took control of the contest, but countered her to a dropkick allowed Perez to take out her legs. Grace hit a finisher to get a decisive win over Perez. It won't happen in NXT, but these two women will meet again, and we will enjoy even more.
Okay, yeah, my fault. So
Good.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
I thought the new technology. We mentioned it earlier.
I had to find out where the mute button was. So the young guy here showing his age. Anyway, no, this match was really solid. You know, like you mentioned, I think this kind of was a great taste of what Jordan can do, and here's the come. But what I like the most about this match is, and I don't know if this was just by design or just at this point, Roxanne is just getting so good that you can't do a match without it. It's just how well Roxanne really wrestled in this match, and I just love the angle she took on the bigger opponent. Like I came into this expecting not a squash, but definitely expected just domination more because I thought that this was more about getting Jordan over, but they did a good job of kind of showing her domination through her preservation because I felt like uh Roxanne did a really good job of just attacking her and like some of the submission transitions. I was really just blown away by some of the stuff that they were allowed to do in this match. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them go again because I feel like they could even do better. But as far as just sitting back and this is just like supposed to be like a not really a mid card, but like it's not a match for a title or whatever. It's just a competitive contest in the middle of this packed card. I couldn't ask for much more than this if you ask me, man. And
Mm.
Jordan, like you said, showed again a little bit of that determination and just that strength that we know she has. But I definitely was expecting her to kind of dominate more. But instead of it making her look bad, it just, in my opinion, made the former champ look like just who she really like a prodigy like that. Like I don't see how you can watch Roxanne at this point and not understand just how special she really is.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, the strange thing is, first meeting and it's such good chemistry. And again, with Jordan
Mm-hmm.
Grace, one of her strengths, of course, an impact. You know, some women might only make a couple of appearances, so you've got to have a kind of good matchup with them at that point. But speak about Roxanne Perez. Has anybody else aced it in NXT as much as Rox has done? Heel and face, both sides. She's completed it. It's 100%. I don't know if anybody else has actually done that.
No, I really, honestly, you could put her run up there with anybody. To be honest, and I think when you point that out, and when you point out like the duality of just what she's done or what she's been able to do as a, which if you just do the duality and what she's been able to do, in no matter what version she has been so far, like I don't know if anybody has done better. It's really amazing when you think about it because um, again, I knew a lot about her coming into NXT, so I knew in the ring that she had the talent. But like I mentioned, when she was a babyface, like nobody in NXT at the time, in my opinion, especially in the women's division, can make you believe the way she did as a babyface. But then at the same time, I remember it's kind of like when you end up being kind of right, like in the Wes Lee point of view, for example, when you said you don't know about the turn, you don't know exactly what they could do with that, and maybe it might not benefit him. And you seem to be right so far in that regard for Wesley. But then when it comes to Roxanne, and we weren't sure, like you said, she's found a way. She's found an angle, even with her size. She found a way with the using the crossface and just using her technical expertise and just outsmarting her opponents. And the arrogance of the story that she was telling as a champion was incredible. And even now, you saw it in like how fast she seemed to be getting, even though she's not doing much now on the main roster. It seems to be a spot that she can fit right in. If you ask me, honestly, she can fight Lyra for the title in WrestleMania if they wanted
Mm-hmm.
to do it. If you know what I mean, if they wanted to go that
Yeah.
far and push it, like would you be shocked or think that? And her and Lyra could actually do so another that'll be another great showcase if they wanted to do that. So yeah, man, I think at this point she's just figured it out. And maybe Braun Breaker, but I think he's so much more natural when he became a bad guy and when he was able to just
Mm,
be badass. Because like even now, the people are barking and they rooting for Braun. But if you notice, his character, who he is, has not changed much. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
He's not being a baby. He's not being white meat babyface. So I think honestly, though, when you look back at it, the Prodigy's run is one of the best they've ever done.
Without doubt. We see Obafemi walking backstage and he runs into The Undertaker, takes that he's been watching and he's impressed, and he doesn't need to tell him how important his match is tonight.
Think
So
about that,
go
man.
tell him to defend his yard. I mean, talk about a huge moment. I mean, Survivor Series 2001. Do you know what I mean? The echoes of the war with WCW and outside influences. Is there anybody else could give a speech like that, with The Undertaker? And again, with Oba, what does that feel like, man? You know what I mean? What does that feel like?
Think about that because you know what that means. Like even if some people don't have a high thought process, not so I don't want to say thought process, but even if some people don't view uh the way Undertaker, they may not view Undertaker or view the WWE way in a high regard. You know exactly what that means around there to have that, even if it's just on screen, and you know that to have that type of cosign from somebody like that. I know he's not in the locker room actively anymore, but he's always been kind of that guy that for the jury or the judge when it comes to people they're not putting you on screen with him if they don't expect big things out of you. And I think again, it just shows what not only Sean, people down in NXT, but WWE too to an extent. I think the writing's on the wall. They know that if everything stays the same, or and if if the opportunity presents itself, Overfemi he has nowhere else to go but to the top of WWE, and I think that was again to have that in the middle of this show. Then you got a big match with a person from another, promotion because that takes trust too. I mean, honestly, man, we are really in good hands right now with the ruler being on top.
Exactly. And we're not even mentioning the kind of Madison Square Garden, either like the theatre itself, which is so beautifully done. Again,
Yeah,
talk about like memories of like WrestleMania 10, even the kind of like the Macho Man. And now we've seen these guys kind of getting involved. And up next was Moose versus Oberfirm for the NXT Championship. They locked up and struggled for control to start, but this quickly became a match with the two powerhouses trying to one up each other, and it made for a fucking great matchup. The crowd was heavily behind Femi, but it didn't feel like it was anti-Moose. I mean, most of the crowd was on its feet after Moose hit a suplex, which was immediately followed by a suplex from Femi. The challenger came close to winning a few times, but he came up short in the end. Femi hit the fall from Grace powerbomb to get the pin. I mean, there was so much more going on. Again, thankfully, it wasn't Goldberg versus Brock, and that is always my worry when I see two big men. This was just great.
I'm glad you mentioned it because that's kind of where I was headed. It's like when you see two big guys, even though like I always try to point out that that's kind of what pro wrestling was built off of. We also know that it's a reason why for a long time we had a lot of big guys, but some of those big guys you don't want to see fighting each other. You don't need to see them in there. And sometimes it's best to put them in there with a smaller guy with someone else who can really make them look good. But this is one of the situations where, honestly, how strong is Overfit? Because look at that Moose. Moose is a big guy, and it was moments in this match where you just saw Obafemi pick him up, and it didn't seem like it took much effort at all to kind of get Moose off the
Mm.
ground. And I know he's not like a big show weight type of guy, but he's still a big man, and it just kind of showcased the strength. Like you said, I think back in the day, it wasn't, and even probably in the Goldberg Brock match from back in '03 or whatever. How much were they willing to bump all over the place for each other? I've seen Brock wrestle Brian Danielson or Rey Mysterio or some of these other guys, and I've seen him bump his ass off, even for people who have no business throwing, knocking him around. So sometimes back in the day, a little bit of ego played a factor, but to see both of these big guys kind of put over each other's strength and put over each other's ability in this ring, and like you said, had everybody in this match. Really, it didn't matter who's supposed to be good or bad. Everybody in this match were just we were all marveling at the athleticism and just how great both guys ended up looking in this matchup. And it was physical, but it was just a really good time, you know. And I think at the end of the day, you couldn't ask for more. And at this point, I'm watching the show and I'm like, it seemed like every match seemed to be going not if not a step higher than the other, they seem to be keeping this flow that most shows you gotta have a dip somewhere, right? Well, this one at this point, I was over the moon because I'm like, yeah, no, I can't ask for much more than this. And Over looked great in victory, and Moose looked good even though he lost. So again, I thought everybody came away from this looking badass.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, like I said, the whole presentation from where the Undertaker was to two of my favorite entrances in wrestling with Moose and Obafemi, and the big fight feel as well. There was a nice table spot, and this was just kind of great stuff, and a really good payoff because, like you said, after all that build up to these matches, you kind of worry. But both just went out there and delivered. And credit to Moose as well, like I said, putting his body on the line and putting his body in the hands of Obafemi. Credit to him.
Yeah, that's my point. You know, to be a big guy like that, and like you don't necessarily have to go out there and do that, but like it kind of goes back to what we saying about his promo. You know, like the belief or the faith or how much he seemed to really want to be in this spot. You can see it kind of bled over into the match because, like you said, he was really doing his best, in my opinion, to kind of make Overfemi look like $1 million.
Yeah, we'll be getting an Instagram video as well. Taking Soul Ruka to a I think they're called like anger rooms because I know you can get like escape rooms. You just take out your aggression by smashing bottles and plates and stuff. I have looked it up and I will be going to one soon. Backstage, family influence are demanding favors from Ava Rain when Ricky Saints rolls up to observe that everyone around here is angry. All ego from Page arrives telling me doesn't. NXT doesn't like outsiders, and he walks up to make his entrance. As we go to a break, we do love all ego from Page, and up next was him versus Javon Evans in a street fight. And again, like I said, Monty, with the show, you kind of expected a match to kind of sit back. This was not one of them. All ego hit, running
Nope.
boot to get control right away, but Evans didn't take long to send him out of the ring, so he could a suicide dive to send Page over the barricade and into the first row. They used a few chairs and creative well to begin to up their aggression, but as always, the crowd popped the biggest when the tables brought into the ring. Evans began to make a comeback and unload his opponent with lefts and rights. He hit a springboard cutter while Page had a chair wrapped around his neck to get the pin and the win.
And
But unfortunately, the lights went out and a new group in NXT showed up. They took out Evans and Page with brutal attack, left both men down and out. I thought we had moved past this, but great stuff before that, though.
no. We're only getting started with that. It seems, but no. Yeah, this was incredible. I honestly, and I know, luckily for me, we don't have to do like the in depth ratings or whatever to my knowledge, but I was really tough to see so far with this one. How can I say anything was better than that? Like that's just like that's how it felt. These last two matches were that these last two matches and maybe even the tag, but really these last two was when I was to the point where I was like, this could end up being one of the greatest NXT cards ever. That's how much fun this match was. That's how much they brought to the table. They were aggressive. And then like it fit the story they told too. With the spot and like the finish a match like that, and Javon getting the victory, showing off his athleticism. But it wasn't nonsensical. It was like uh, just one of those matches that, like you said, you would expect. Again, not to say that because of those two guys who they are in the ring, I didn't really come into it saying that they would, but again, most wrestling shows take a dip somewhere, and this one, like you said, was breakneck. It was physical. The weapons were involved, and you get one of the best executed like cutter through a. I've never seen that really executed that well. Maybe
No.
I'm just, maybe I'm
It looked
missing
like it
something.
fucking killed him. Yeah.
Right. Like that was like that's how you if you're gonna finish a match, that's how you finish a street fight type of match. And Javon ended up definitely gaining not only from this but from the angle when you have a fight like that, because again, kind of like what I was saying with Kalani, show off a mean streak, get that revenge. And so I think Ethan brought the best out of him, and then you get like the end result there is one of the just again a memorable. If there's one thing I will say, I will always kind of remember how that kind of wrapped up because that was incredible the way they did that.
Yeah, without doubt. They're really, really good stuff from start to finish. You know, we had to go at like Lexus King feud, but it's all started from Ethan Page kind of losing his smile, and you've made Javon Evans kind of even bigger star off the back of it, and Page loses nothing in defeat because of, like you said, how the match was as well. So just really, really good stuff. So up next, Eddie Thorpe is interviewed. He says Trick Williams has no idea what he's getting into and claims that he's the king of the underground. Williams rushes down and blindsides him and beats him all the way down to ringside and all over the barricade. There's your setup for next week's match. Up next is the main event. It's Julia versus Stephanie Becker for the NXT Women's and NXT North American Championship title for title. This match started with a respectful handshake, fully locked up and began working. He didn't try to start slow, immediately began exchanging hold strikes and takedowns. But the match ended with Stephanie scoring a clean win with the SVB to become the new NXT champion. She celebrated as the confetti fell down from the ceiling. She proudly held up both titles to close the show on a high note. I mean, what an end to the show, Monty.
Yeah, man. Incredible moment. History being made there. I thought, again, like I said, you're waiting for a dip, and then we get to the main event, and then the energy of the crowd, the energy of the moment kind of set in. And, like, again, I was just like, you know what? You know, you probably can find probably better cards, maybe, I'm assuming, but honestly, that's some of the best NXT ever right there because the quality across the board was there, like you said, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. It wasn't a lot of filler segments that ate up time. It just felt like we were getting also for the first time. That's another reason why I understand if you want to say this is a PLE because it wasn't much in between. Like we got this match, you did maybe a little bit something, but then we right on to the next match. And this, like you said, the transition into this, the energy, the crowd, the way both ladies in this match just came out. And honestly, the funniest thing about it, I thought this was really good. But like the fact that you have a Julia possibly most likely working injured here and still was able to get not only a good defense here in this match, even though she lost, but it also kind of, in my opinion, planted the seed because I think when she returns or when the time comes back, you have the potential here for not only an angle with Stephanie, but I think Stephanie has kind of taken the forefront of like being very beloved. And there's a million reasons to love Stephanie Valkyrie. Her style in the ring, everything about the look. We see superstars written all over her, obviously. But I think I loved how this match was solid. It was good, but I know they both can do better. I've watched them do a step more physical and better than this when they were when Julia was the New Japan Strong Champion. So I know what they can do, but Julia, and this is something that most people may not know, Julia benefits mostly, in my opinion. I think you even saw it a little bit in this match. The crowd were really behind Stephanie. And you've seen it a little bit of it kind of come out when she was mocking her and taking her moves. Stephanie is a great heel. I mean, Julia is a great heel. And I think with that fan base that Stephanie seems to be building just by being her cool, badass self, I think if you can pull a la like an EO Sky when she, changed, if you can go lean into a lot of that beautiful madness and that I can't Bella, I can't think of the faction name that they had in Stardom, but if people who know Julia know exactly what I'm talking about. If you can lean into what she kind of had going on in Japan when she was just kind of going there, beating the hell out of people. Now again, she don't necessarily have to headbutt women hard style like she was doing. So I know it's WWE. I'm not crazy. I know she won't be able to kind of lean as much into it, but I do think that's what they need to do. Lean into that madness. Like she's been showing off the beauty. She's been doing. She did great. Became champion off her medal, and it was just kind of unfortunate timing, seemingly with the injury. But I believe this also, as great as this moment was for Stephanie, and this is about Stephanie. Don't get me wrong. I saw the seeds and I saw potential being planted for if Julia does return and when she does return, you can tell a great story there and have her leaning into more of her strong suit when she was in Japan, which was being a heel. But Stephanie, man, like again, she's just fantastic. She's on her man, that spot where she does the corkscrew and then Julia times it. with the I've never seen that executed more perfectly when you land right into a triangle. And I know Julia has like a reputation for that being a strong suit, but to get the rotation on that perfect, it just kind of shows you the quality of wrestling talent that you had there. And they only went for about 10-15 minutes, so I could definitely see them going a notch further. But for right now, and for what they needed to accomplish on this show, they gave you a really good match, a really good main event, and I think they wrapped up one of the best shows in NXT history with a history-making moment where we have a double champion in Stephanie Valkyrie, who honestly, I can't make an argument that she doesn't deserve to lead the era currently next to Obafemi right now going in the stand and deliver. Like, I think we talked about this. There's a reason why it didn't really. We were shocked that it was happening so soon, but there's a reason why we were shocked, because we knew that at the top of the women's division by far is a Julia and a Stephanie Valkyrie, and I think Stephanie being right here in this moment, you could tell how much it meant to her. And I'm only just now excited to see where we go from here, because I don't think we've ever really had a reigning double champion, and just actually without them having to give up the belt the next show. So it's going to be exciting to see how they maneuver this and how long it lasts this way.
Yeah, without doubt. No, really, really good stuff. And again, it's like I said, the connection with the crowd with Stephanie, that could have been the moment where people were like, oh, all right, well, you're taking off Julia. But again, they were so invested. And the knees and Booker go hand in hand. It's like Booker has always done it as well, you know? But like you said, what an NXT and not one weak spot. It is literally, we have reviewed takeovers and PLEs, whatever you want to call them, that have not been as fun as this roadblock was.
Yeah, man. Again, I came away from this like excited, but also kind of like taken aback, because I'm like, they still got their biggest show of the year coming up. So like, how do you you got a banger of a roadblock in here to try to outdo? So it gave me pause, but at the same time, I came away from it so excited, because I'm like, if you can give me this for just like on my TV. What the hell are we going? What is the idea? What is the plan? What's the main event? What do we have planned going forward for Stand and Deliver? Because I can only imagine you want to raise the ante going into a big show, like going to your biggest show. So again, like you said, I couldn't be more impressed. And I think this also just kind of showcased where we are right now when it comes to NXT, when it's at its best. But I also want you to see, this is the conundrum of us loving NXT so much. Because while I thought this was one of the greatest shows in NXT history, when I saw a preview for the card for what was coming up next, I was like, okay, we're coming back down to what I'm used to here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is incredible though. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we'll see what happens. On to Impact March 13th. Wesley won a match, beating the Laredo Kid. Tessa Blanchard and NXT Cora Jade defeated Masha Slamovich and Leah Ling Lee, the former Zaya Lee. And Sacrifice March 14th. The Rascals and Ace Austin took on Wesley, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe in a fun 6-man match. Of course, Wesley's team lost. Jackson and Legend showed up after the dumpster fire, which was Ash by Elegance. So maybe we will see them, Meta 2, coming to Impact. And Cora Jade come up short versus Masha Slamovich. It was good to see she wasn't seriously injured. But again, a few more developments on Impact involving NXT.
Yeah, at this point, Wesley he might well just join the Rascals. Huh? He might well just get back with the crew. He's spending a lot of time back over there at Impact. Why not? Nothing seems to be changing for him. Man, I think I wrote him down as a champion. Man, I hope I didn't. I really hope I didn't say he was gonna be a champion by the end of this year, because I don't even know if he's gonna be with WWE by the end of this year. The way it's going right now, but I hope I'm wrong. Last Legend, the card just makes sense. Like I mentioned, they got tag belts. I'm telling you, if there's anybody probably especially since they've improved so well, and if they're not going to be called up right now immediately to take our tag belts, I mean WWE's tag belts, then you might as well, in my opinion, go ahead and give them a shot. Especially like you mentioned with Ash by Elegance and all that being tag champs. Like, why the hell not let Lashley's car take it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
again, I like that because again, like I said, so we have so many women right now in NXT. The more exposure, the more match time, even if it's over in Impact, I think that's perfectly fine. And and also Cora Jade, by the way, I thought that was a pretty good attempt. And my sister is a badass, by the way, just so good. But
Yeah.
Cora Jade, I think it's pretty cool because I think she even pointed out that I don't think she's ever even had a singles one-on-one NXT title match or whatever yet in her career. So it's kind of cool that she kind of finally got a chance to do this in a spot. Of course, probably against somebody. Even though I think we kind of all knew that she probably wouldn't win, it was still cool, like you said, to see her healthy and see her win there. And I do got this one question. I don't know if you noticed it. Maybe I'm just looking too deep into it because I don't too much care for. But do it look like every NXT girl they make work with Chelsea Blanchard cannot stand to be next to her? Like, are they just playing it up, or am I just looking too deep into it? Because they make faces at each other, and or just she's not supposed to be liked by anybody. Is that the gimmick? Like, what is Chelsea's gimmick at this point?
Well, she's Mexican now. I don't know if you know that.
I, I
That
saw.
that's what she's
Unfortunately, I
trying.
saw that.
And again, everybody's out against her, and she's got this kind of attitude against Impact at this moment in time. And you kind of the issue is where it's heading, and you just wonder how long Masha's got left in her contract before she shows up in NXT. Because again, it's even like with the Knockouts tag division in Impact. The Iconics were there. Till Wood was involved. Of course, you used to have fucking Havoc and Rosemary and stuff like that. And now there's a reliance for more NXT teams. But again, I don't mind that. But if you're a kind of real diehard kind of Impact fan, if you start noticing it, you're thinking, "Oh,
Yeah,
hang on a minute now."
right on the
Um,
wall, possibly. Huh?
yeah, well, it just seems a bit odd. And again, nothing wrong with NXT, stacked women's division, but I think you mentioned it with the relationship with Impact, maybe saving money on talent by having
Mm-hmm.
these. Stars coming across. Anyway, back to NXT, March 18th. We start with Chelsea Green versus Sarah Ruka for the WWE Women's United States Championship. Yes, she is still champion. Green controlled a large portion of the match, targeting the injured left knee of her opponent. Ruka fought back and rolled out until interference marred her quest, allowing Green to pick up the win. Chelsea Green's just stay in NXT, really, shouldn't she? Do you know what I mean? Bring Pipe and Living down, and we can just do this week in, week out.
Yeah, I think she's also one of those people who people don't realize it until you just kind of. I know I don't realize it sometimes when I think about it. Like Chelsea's been doing this over a decade now at this point. So although she seems like she's only scratched the surface to how good or how big she can be at WWE, she's a vet. So like somebody like her going down to NXT is really cool. And it's also cool for her belt that they seem to have forgotten about pretty much, other than giving Mia Yim the occasional title match that they were doing. I had no problem with her getting a defense here, even though from what I saw, Soul Ruker, I don't know if it was by design that the explosive, some of the stuff was meant to kind of not be done, but I don't know. I don't want to say it was a bad performance by Soul Ruger. I just thought it was solid overall altogether, and seemed like part of the story was to kind of limit Soul Ruger's ability to do what she does. And I don't know. I think we'll see. I don't know how ready Soul Ruger may be for this spot, but I do think putting her in there with a veteran like Chelsea is a good way to kind of get these reps under her belt. So one day, because I do feel like Soul Ruger is one of those women on the roster who could be primed for a potential championship run at some point, unless they decide Soul Ruger and Zara should go challenge for the Knockouts tag belts first.
Yeah.
But that's still a championship, so we'll see.
But again, it's weird with Sol when us doing these updates as we do. We see that she's in a position now where maybe Thea Hale was, when Nikita Lyons was before her injury. Do you know what I mean? It's just
What the hell
seeing.
happened to Thea?
Well, that's what I'm
Don't
saying.
worry about
Again, I'm going to
that.
get onto that in a minute. I've got a big thing to say about it in a minute. But like I said, I don't know what happened. And these talents that come there, they get given a chance, and then say either like an injury or the story ends, and they just kind of fade away. It'd be interesting to see what happens to Soul after this. And Booker just loves it anyway. John Evans chats with Trick Williams backstage, and he says he understands what Trick means. Now, we told John Evans he will never be champion, and the two of them having dreadlocks doesn't make them friends. I mean, harsh, but we've seen a
Real
different
hard.
side to Trick recently, though.
Yeah, definitely seen a different side. I can't wait to see. him lean into it even more, possibly going forward. But you know, he is. I ain't gonna lie, he is coming off a little bit now. It's just like now you just mean for nothing. Why you? What's the point? Why you had to say the dread? Why you had to say that? Oh, I'll never be champion. Like you just being mean. Just be mean at this point. He tried to say he understood you, but yeah. So it's been cool to watch it though because again, I told you if there's anybody who needs something. If you think about from where he
Mm.
was, Trick Williams is it's like Trick been listening to our podcast and he felt how I feel about his run. And like that, I think Trick heard us and he got pissed when he thought about, you know what, they tell him the truth. You know, I wasn't giving a damn thing after I became champion. You know, I'm just angry. And I want to be champion again, but I'm gonna be pissed off about it. So I like it. We'll see. Hopefully, they lean more into it, and we can see where that's going. He also have an underground match, so
Oh, can't wait for that. But again, like you said, the chain of reaction with Trick being horrible to John Evans and then John just hitting Lexus King for kind of no reason. So he arrives, you know? So I suppose,
great influence.
yeah, I suppose it could be worse. The first ever NXT women's double women's champion, Stephanie Becker, hit the ring to adjust the fans following her victory. She announced that the next woman to enter the ring would be her first challenger. Have we seen that before when Javon did that to get in the ring? Or it was someone like that?
Yeah,
We didn't get it this time. I did expect all of them to come, but it
yeah.
was
It's
just
supposed to be
Jordan
30
Grace.
people running. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just Jordan Grace answering the call. But before she could do or say anything, Jada Parker attacked from out of nowhere and stepped up to the title holder, officially entering the championship hunt. See, that's the way to do it. No number one contendership match. Who can get to the ring first? The good old
right.
fashioned way, you know?
Yeah, no, it was cool. I love how badass Stephanie kind of felt about it because it was like more of a like instead of like you said somebody has to earn it or whatever. Just like I don't care who it is, just come on, bring it on. I love that energy. Even Jada, I like the promo once she got in the ring. Again, her strongest suit so far, at least in her career, to me, has been that ability to kind of express herself and talk. And the only nitpick I got about it is just like you guys must don't know how much Jordan Grace I've actually watched. I've seen her survive a lot of stuff that I don't know why y'all need the referees to come check on her because of the hip attack into the barricade. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't understand why. Maybe they needed a storyline reason why she didn't get up and attack Jada after the promo. But I was like, hold on, you mean to tell me this girl I watched and Impact get dropped on her head from the top?
It's it's like when they become referees and it's the one bump that takes them down for 10 minutes. You go, hang on a minute, in a
Right.
normal matchup, you'd be up by now.
Exactly.
But again, it was interesting. I think Stephanie's line, I think she said it here, was like English is not her first language, but kind of fighting and wrestling is. And again, that is a connection from the crowd that they understand. They're going, yeah, she might not be able to, hit a great promo, but she will give
Badass
us
though.
everything she can in the ring. And this is what you want. We are so lucky at the moment with our champions, apart from Sean Spears, that we have got the kind of the hard fighting champions, especially with Ober and Fraxium. Just really, really good stuff. Anyway, speaking of tag team division, inspired by the interaction with the legendary Hardy Boys, Hank and Tanked looked to build momentum as they battled Josh Briggs and Inamura in tag team action. Tank scaled the ropes and came off with a swanton bomb, only to miss the target and crash to the match. Briggs followed up with lariat, and Inamura adds a splash to secure the victory. Thank fuck, we don't want Hank and Tank involved anywhere near Stand and Deliver. I find them entertaining. We've spoken about this. They're probably the best of a bad bunch,
Yeah.
but
But what is that actually saying? You know what I mean? Yeah. What is that actually saying? And I love Inamura. I will repeat that all
yes,
the time. I love Inamura. Josh Briggs, the
he's big,
funny
big man,
big man, big guy, man, woo, big guy. What I will say about Josh Briggs too is that I don't know if he'll ever be able to live this down for me. I will never forget him having a singles run going to Japan, and he did so mediocre that they was like, you know what? Why don't you come back with a partner and get back in this tag team?
I'll tell you what, Josh, we're going to give Brooks a push. All right, that's what we're going to do.
Right.
Even better news, though. Ridge and Eddie are bad guy friends. Oh, we like that, don't we? Friend. Channon, Stax, Lorenzo, Luke Frisfino, Rizzo, battled Nico Vance, Brooks Jensen, and Izzy Dame in six-person tag team action. A hot tag to Crucifino and Rizzo to take out Dame, sparked a comeback, only for unnamed assailants that have played NXT since Wednesday to attack Tony D backstage. We kind of guessed it when we went back to Tony D backstage, and then all of a sudden it did happen. But distraction allowed the Colour to take advantage and pick up the victory. Stacks is with the new group then, Monty. Is that? No, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean,
remember
that guy who went to AEW who they kayfabe killed, who used to be with Stacks. Maybe it's him. I forgot that guy's name. He went to AEW and they act like he's sleeping with the fishes. They said 1 week. Maybe it's him. No, but no, you're right. It's obviously at this point.
Unless it was a
coincidence. It feels like it. Right.
Yeah, and have you noticed Rizzo was in that Thea Hale role as well? We spoke about Thea Hale a minute ago. Rizzo seems to be that kind of plucky underdog babyface who is going to get betrayed by her partners. I mean, it is like Chase U.
And I feel like we have a rule. It seems in NXT, only have one of those at a time. we only have one of those at a time, I guess. Yeah. So I like Izzo, but at the same time, at this point, she is in the family. It's just like when you just pointed out that Eddie Thorpe and Ridge Holland are getting along. It's like, Eddie, I like you, man, but when you start hanging out with people like that, then people gonna not want to see you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, people already don't want to see him. So the same thing with Rizzo. It's like, can you really save the family at this point? I don't know how much I want to see them in general.
Well, NXT have always had the spooky groups as well, be it Sanity or what the fuck was Gracie's group, So again, with Spears, they're trying that way. We'll see.
Hold on. You can say whatever you want. I don't like Schism as much as the next guy, but they are a hell of a lot more interested in whatever Sean and them doing right now. That's all I'll say about that.
Whoa, I didn't mean to. That's the first ever issue we've had.
You got me defending Schism.
Yeah. Speaking of Schism members, Ava Rain confirmed Stephanie Booker's title match with her backstage when Fallon Henley rolls up and demands a title match. And Stephanie's like, yeah, all right, I'll defend that next week as well. That is what you want, badass.
Come on, God, man.
Just good stuff. JC Jane beat Carmen Petrovic. Refusal to use a steel chair presented by a boyfriend. I mean, that's why I'm single. I'm not going to lie. The amount of times I've had my partner cost me shots in title matches and even just normal matches in itself.
Baby faces, man. Not smart.
Smart. They're not. Jada Parker cuts a promo about how she's going to win the NXT Women's Championship next week and go into stand and deliver as champion. We got Ricky Saints versus Ridge Holland. I knew this would fucking happen. Holland dominated the bout, and despite the pain, Saints fought for his way back into the match and finished off the former rugby league player with, I'm going to call it a modified Rochambeau, but I just don't think Ridge could get the move done to him. Just please move on, Ricky. Just move on. Look, oh, look, he's chatting to Spears. It's fine. He just can't catch a break. Ricky is fucked.
See, and now you starting to realize what I was trying to say about Trick Williams. After a while, man, as a baby face in NXT, you pretty much doomed. I'm rushing. We're rushing at this one. I'm rushing Ricky Starks to get to Ethan Page. Please get to Ethan Page or somebody else soon. Because that's my point. Like, where the hell are you going? Where do you go? Where do you go at this point? Ricky Starks, Brooks Jensen.
Luckily, our four skull men are getting interviewed outside, so maybe they'll help us. They complain about
too, huh?
They get camera time. They complain about being expected to wait their turn and say they're reshaping NXT and how they feel like it. They go, yeah, we've not had enough. Fuck it, let's go back. It's just like, what are you guys doing? I don't know. Booker T talks about putting them down like dogs. All right, Book. All right, calm down. And the rivalry between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe ended with a whimper as a much hype underground match ended in short order as the former NXT champion pummeled his rival into a knockout and drew a stoppage. What was the fucking point in that? Anyway, after a short-lived main event, Williams called out Obafemi, making his 10th challenge for the title, and the Dark State, the previously unnamed invaders, appeared, and Javon Evans hit the ring, shoved aside by Williams. He unloaded as all hell broke loose. The Shield-inspired group watched from the stands as Evans stood face-to-face with Williams to close out the show. Commentator Vic Joseph asked if anyone will take Evans lightly again. The biggest takeaway from this, Monty, there was a lot going on there, but it looks like Javon Evans, as we have spoken about, is being ready to take that next stage, which is the only positive, I think, from this main event.
Yeah, yeah. So you did. I just want to ask you this, Jane. I don't know. We've been watching. We both been watching together. What's been going on? And I just Eddie Thorpe, right? Eddie Thorpe did all of that, and this his match, right? This is underground match. This is Eddie Thorpe's match. 4 minutes, Jane. He only got 4 minutes. This is a guy that Trick Williams not only couldn't beat in a strap match, but the less I say about that, the better. You know what? At this point, that's the type of booking to me that tells me that you felt how we felt when you was booking these. You know what I mean? Like you felt like, all right, I'm ready to get this over with. I'm done with it. The same way a lot of us fans felt, because how can you explain it other than that they couldn't even get the 10 minutes that the underground match usually got? I mean, Shayna and Lola Vice got more time and more care for their underground match than this. And I get it. Trick Williams is not trained, or he's not really like an MMA guy, even though at this point we know what the underground match is. Like, you can blend wrestling into it. So, I mean, I don't know why even put Trick in this situation if he felt like it wasn't his strong suit enough to actually get a fight out of it for us to blow this up. Because in the end of the day, Trick didn't gain nothing from it. He just lost standing from losing to a guy like Eddie Thorpe. And then now you make the same guy look like a joke. That's where I stand on that. Then the attack out. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, about to say the praise that we gave for Javon and the Evan Page feud, this has been the complete opposite.
The
this
opposite.
Is how not to do it. Yeah.
Right. Because nobody gained anything. Like, exactly. Ethan and Javon gained a lot from that. And the opposite seems to be happening here, where it just seemed like nobody gained anything. So, yeah, that's not good. Never really a positive in that regard. Then you get to the stuff after the match, and the only thing about that is that the end, Javon felt like he was ready and who's the main event talent, and that's great. And that also something else that you can credit Ethan Page, a former NXT champion, and the way that played out. You can credit him for that too, because that kind of catapults Javon in my eye in a more serious light. But also the Dark State and all of that type of stuff that's going on with them. The only way, because right now I don't know about you, I don't mind Deion Lennox, and I know like Shaquan Sugars, for example. I know he has potential. I don't know too much about the other guys. I know those two. But what's screaming out to me is it's going to be hard to take them seriously in their current incarnation in this style. Because at the end, eventually you're going to have to do something. Eventually you're going to be getting booked in real matches. Eventually something is going to have to happen other than, all right, let's show up and jump somebody every now and then. They're going to have to give them something to sink their teeth into. So I'm wondering, is this planting the seeds for one of these three? Not really. Probably wouldn't be a Javon, but I don't think you should go that route anyway, because Javon's such a good baby face with his repertoire and all that. It's just setting the seed for a Trick Williams, because a lot of people online will point out Trick Williams they don't even pay attention to Trick. You can go all the way back to when Deion Lennox, apparently on an old NXT, Deion Lennox was, getting angry, and Trick Williams just stole the charge. So a lot of people thought Trick was going to get attacked. Trick still hasn't been attacked. So that doesn't mean they're in the cahoots. Can you save this? Right. Can you save this and make Trick Williams the leader of the Dark State? Does that interest you, John? That's what I really want to ask.
Well, no, the thing
could Trick take over and make them more interesting, or is that something that could help Trick in any way?
Again, that would be probably the only interesting thing they could do. Like I said, they've taken out Oba, haven't they? They've taken out Javon. So, yeah, it's interesting if they were to do that. but it would probably be Stacks. So that's all I'm gonna say. And you've taught me that. So I'm not gonna get my hopes.
Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna argue with that one. I'm gonna leave that alone. Fair play, fair play, because you're 100% right on the money with that. As beautiful as it would be for it to be true, you're 100% right. It could mess around, and this is Stacks' answer to whatever problems he's having. You're 100% right, and
Yeah,
please, I hope you're wrong, but you're
I do.
100% definitely could possibly be that. Yeah. So again, I don't know. That's the only way I think you can kind of say. I mean, you and then of course you could just give the dark side that currently instructed just more direction and actual. Because again, I think you look crazy in my opinion saying people want us to wait around for time while you're currently taking other people's time doing this promo. Like it's
Yeah,
just
I
like you
just
look weird. You just look stupid to me when you don't have a clear direction. And WWE's done this before. We've seen this with like the retributions, the Nexus. After a while, like they start off with a purpose, and then after a while, it's just nothing there. And same in this regard, they start off with like a good entrance, but we still don't know what the hell, why they're here and what they're doing. And I think when you're a faction, you have to establish something. We have to establish who's going to be the guy. So like a world champion caliber talent like a Trick Williams would make sense. Like, could you see a Trick Williams, using them to help in an Obafemi fight or something? I don't know. I'm just
what?
saying that's the
Yeah,
only way you can. That's the only way you can kind of make them more interesting to me. But other than that, you're 100% right. The biggest problem. I know I'm talking about this horrible segment a little bit too long, but the biggest positive is I think now and going forward, whether it's going to be at stand and deliver or post stand and deliver, Javon Evans is in that world title picture, and that's awesome.
yeah. Well, like you said, the only worry for me is I hope they don't come near the dark fate, dark matter, whatever they're called, come near stand and deliver and just leave, over. Just, we've only got like, 3 or 4 weeks now, 3 weeks. So they've got to be careful, just have this match on NXT and out the way and whatever. We'll move on to the last episode of NXT, March 25th. We start off with the NXT Women's Championship, Stephanie Vaquer versus Jada Parker. And Parker was rolling against Stephanie, hitting the teardrop, only for Jordan Grace to pop up on the apron. Distraction allowed the Dark Angel to counter the Hypnotic into a leg trap pin combination for the 3 count. Afterwards, Fatal Influence struck, laying out the champion with help of a series of running sentons from JC James. Security arrived to stop Grace and Parker from brawling after the result, and Vaquer refused to quit on the title match despite needing a significant amount of ice and tape for ribs after the Fatal Influence attack. Wow, I mean, what a way to start the show, really. Jada Parker stepping up, but Stephanie is the fighting champion that we have always wanted.
I mean, I feel like if somebody want to do a drinking game, this episode, just drinking game to Stephanie Valkyrie being a badass or something, because like I really don't know how other way to kind of to point that out. When have we ever seen a champion, in my opinion, depicted like this? And just looks so strong, and also again, still in my opinion, making a Jada Parker look good. I think, like you said, by proxy of somebody who is so cool and so strong looking at the moment as a Stephanie being taken to the point to where she kind of just has to survive, and then to get the attack and then not be like, no, for screw medical clearance, I'm cool, I want to fight him. And then we all know at the end of we all believe that if she gets a chance and everything is square, that she will be able to defend herself and all that and defend her championship again. And then another thing, besides that too, I love the element of it because it does make you wonder when you have a pre-existing injury. Are they writing this for a reason? Are they setting up the stage for Fallon Henley to become 2-time champ or whatever because of that pre-match attack or post-match attack? However you want. They kind of, I guess it's kind of both. But yeah, so yeah, this is great, man. Great stuff for Stephanie. Good stuff to kind of start/continue a Jada Parker, uh, Jordan Grace type of deal. My question is, do you do the Jordan Grace, Jada Parker? Do you get that out of the way so we can fast track Jordan into a title match at Stand and Deliver? Or is this something that's going to build? It'd be interesting to see where we get how they decide to go forward with that. But yeah, man, honestly, you just can't, in my opinion, go wrong with the way this started off for both ladies. And then also, like I said, from a storytelling standpoint, I thought everybody gained something from this.
Yeah, without doubt. Sean Spears interrupted Ricky Saints' interview with Vic Joseph, telling him he had too much ego to ever succeed. Saints warned Spears that he was coming for the North American Championship. Wesley walked out the locker room angry at Saints for jumping the championship line, and no one cared. Anyway, moving on. Andre Chase and Ethan Page almost came to blows after Uriah Connors mocked all ego. The Motor City Machine Guns helped hype Hank and Tank before they headed to the ring. Isn't it great to see Motor City Machine Guns on NXT? I know they're not wrestling, but it's not really hard. On this update, like I said, we've seen two of the
Right.
greatest teams of their generations trying to help Hank and Tank.
Right. Like that's pretty damn cool if you really think about it, and just again, it's just one of those things that's really cool about where we are in NXT. It's always that element of who we might see next and how they'll be incorporated into what we have going on and all that. So this was man, just always awesome to see. And then like you said, the potential. Because, right now they're not tag champions, but honestly, any of the great tag teams, what my mind go when I see them floating around NXT. I'm like, Fraxium, can we do? Can we get another match? I know y'all. I think you guys fought before, but do it again.
We get Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe versus Hank and Tank. Lee distracted referee to allow cheap shots up to Point and Igwe to hit a combination of back suplex and a splash for the win. And again, with Wesley, it's not helped his character, but he sure as fuck has helped DuPont and Igwe in a big way, even, with Impact and the stuff recently as well. You can see the kind of confidence growing from both men in a weird way.
I don't know, man. I play the new game and I'm watching. I play the new wrestling game and I see the version of Wesley they got there. He still got hair, and I'm just like, I think about what was James and where we were.
Yeah. Well, Drew
Maybe.
McIntyre still got his fucking sword, so don't get me started with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. No, but anyway, no. Again, like you mentioned, I think it's cool that he's kind of helping out there, but I just can't. I can't do until he's given something of note to
Yeah.
do. I just like I'm really worried. It's just kind of like with Cameron Grimes. Like as much as I hated when they let him go and how they executed that. Cameron Grimes was somebody who I thought the writing was on the Raw way about his future way before it actually happened to him on the main roster. And I just don't want to see Wesley get called up in like one of those unannounced draft picks, and the next thing you know, he's with Apollo Crews, never on television.
Yeah. Oh, you bring the positivity. We see Javon Evans. At least it's not me this time. Confronting Trick in the locker room, telling the former X champion who would prove him wrong by winning gold. And Fraser and Axiom argued in a backstage interview about the latter's recent match with Gunther until they saw Femi marching angry in parking lot. And I love it. Fraxiom are like us. We'll talk shit, and then as soon as Over Femi comes in, we'll just stop. Just be like, oh, it's over.
That's the way. Hey, I agree with him. That's exactly the way it's supposed to go.
But Fraxim arguing, so it's good to see. I mean, we haven't seen that in a while, so at least they're still going
And
strong,
they
I
brought
suppose.
it to social media too. By the way, they kept it going. I was like, wow.
Everything's fine. They're fine. Fraxim's fine. Heritage Cup, which is not fine. Lexus King versus Javon Evans. I love the way they explain the rules now of the match. Of like one fall to a finish. Yeah, it's a normal match. We don't need the rules because there are no rules. It is a fucking normal one. But to his credit, Javon Evans threw his whole body into his fight with Lexus. But Obafemi arrived to ruin the young OG's moment. With the referee distracted, the NXT champion easily parted Evans on the apron with a powerbomb, forcing a count out loss. Dark State arrived with the lights going dark. Evans and Femi brawled until Trick Williams arrived and blasted Evans with a trick knee. The new group mocked all involved, enjoying the carnage. But as you said, Monty, not laying a hand on Trick Williams.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I usually don't pay attention to the internet detectives, but when they actually talking about something that makes sense, it's making sense, and I'm with you. I'm with you, James. If we do end up getting like a 3-way, that's where it feels like we're going for Stand and Deliver, a 3-way between these three. Which, by the way, we talk about representation. Like again, I say it's funny to me. Again, I tell you some any criticism. It's like Shawn Michaels hear the criticism, the Triple H. He's like, hey, y'all ain't gonna say that about me. You're not gonna say that about me, buddy. Because if we get all three of those guys in the main event, and the fact that it can make sense because they seem to be building that way, I really would be looking forward to that. But I'm with you, man. I don't necessarily want them to play a factor, but it just feels like with all of these attacks, especially since they keep centering on these guys now, instead of just being complete chaos throughout the show, they just seem to be focusing on the Obafemi Javon Evans situation. It just feels like we're going to get them involved in that main event somehow. And maybe I'm wrong and I'm just looking too deep into it, but we'll see.
We'll see. Lash Legend and Chicago Jackson versus Tatum Paxton and Gigi Dolan was next. The Meta Girls collided in the ring. Paxton and Dolan caught Jackson with a cemetery drive to win. Maybe a little bit surprised at this result, but Gigi and Tatum were going to be in action for the Knockouts title on Impact. So
I was just about to say,
yeah.
Yeah. I was just about to say that it was surprising until I saw the who were in line in Impact. And then it was like, oh, okay. Gotta build them up. I get it.
Don't worry, Metaphor will win this rematch in a couple of weeks' time on our next update. You know, it'll be fine. Tony D told the family start looking into Dark State while asking Stacks if he could trust him. Everything seems fine. No, it's fine. I don't see a problem. I mean, especially the way Stacks was looking at him, it was all right.
Yeah.
All Ego beat Andre Chase.
Oh no! Don't tell me Tony D and Stacks are standing the room.
What we want. Saints walked right past Ethan Page during his entrance to join commentary. I don't care about Chase 2.0, but it seems that losing to Ridge affected the rest of the group a hell of a lot more than it did with Andre Chase coming out. The only thing he hasn't got is a haircut and his red fucking jumper. He's still got the same theme tune. Like, what did Riley Osborne and Thea Hale do? You know, what the fuck?
These are great questions because I've been one. I told you when he kept getting TV time as if it's still he's getting TV time as if that angle still has legs, like it's still potential that he'll show up. Meanwhile, everybody else, like you saw what happened to poor Duke, who I thought had potential to be quality at least going forward, and then. Speaking of my male division, I didn't even get a chance to really get to know Riley Osborne that much. But don't you think we could use somebody like a Riley Osborne doing something? You know what I mean? Same thing with Duke. It's just like, what the hell are we doing in this regard? But again, like you said, Andre is safe. I don't know how.
What's he got? What's he got? Has he got anything on Shawn Michaels or something like that? Like, how is Andre
everybody saw the Playgirl issue? I'm sure, right? So like we know. Like, I don't think news can get Sean at this point. I don't what could he even have at this point? I thought all the stories, the embarrassing stories about Sean have been told to death at this point. I don't know.
I don't know. After the win, Spears blasted Saints for the North American Championship at ringside. And then the Women's North American title, Stephanie Vaquer versus Fallon Henley. I was a bit surprised, I will say, that this match was the other way around, that we started with the NXT Women's title. But again, that was the story of her getting to Fallon. I always thought it was just going to be she's going to smash Fallon and then get to Jada Parker. But again, it made Fallon Henley look like a bigger challenge in this matchup. She focused on the ribs throughout the grueling battle. However, after she knocked out Jace J outside and sent Henley crashing headfirst into Jasmine Nix, the Dark Angel landed the SVB to win. Fatal Influence jumped to there until Jordan Grace made the save. Jada Parker tried to attack Grace, but she was sent out of the ring. The show ended with Vaquer and Grace facing off, while most of the women's division argued with NXT General Manager Ava as they deserved the next shot at the champion. Wow, and again, setting the stage. I mean, we were talk about the main event. It was really, really good, but I weren't sure if we were going to get two triple threat matches at Stand and Deliver, but it looks like they're going to go Steph and Jordan. But again, you never really know. And Steph, again, just showing her toughness and being the first double champion to actually defend both titles in one night.
Yeah. I mean, don't say that too loud. You never know if the Mandy Rose fans are listening.
Oh, I'm going to get on that. I'm going to get on it. You let me go. I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get there. But yeah, no, this was a great segment. Again, I always said that even when I think we're starting to see it. I don't know if you noticed it too. I think you probably been noticed it just like I have. But out of the those three Cowboys, man, Fallon Henley is by far the most interesting and the best.
Hmm.
And you can just see it in the way she's been booked and positioned. That she's definitely the one I definitely can see a future in WWE for. While the other two, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see if they have any future past NXT. But yeah, man. This is good, man. Like I said, valiantly impressed, and like you mentioned, I thought, like you said, it was kind of weird at first when you think about it. Like, yeah, the World Championship is second. I mean, the World Championship is the first match, but with the post match attack, stacking the deck against the champ, and then getting in this situation, I thought it was a great way, like you mentioned, of just adding tension to that last match, making it even more interesting, or to what could potentially happen. Made for a really good main event. Jordan Grace, Stephanie Valkyrie would be an incredible women's title match, no matter how they decide to do it. But like you say, with two championship belts and with such a uh, top-notch quality roster, how do they plan to execute this going forward? Do you have her wrestle twice on a stand and deliver? Do you divvy up the championship match, like maybe do like a North American title the week before and a multi-woman match or something, and then try to do your world title match? Like, how do you do this, or do you just make this a double title multi-women match, or just a double title match? Like, it's so many interesting possibilities. So at the great, even though I'm not really sure where we may be going, other than possibly knowing Jordan Grace will be involved, uh, I'm definitely still excited because of that, because we have so many different possibilities.
Without doubt. Anyway, for the Mandy Rose thing, I will argue Steph is the first double champion. As well as you and I know, we watched this. Mandy Rose unified the NXT and NXT
Yes.
title rather than defending both. But you tell us, we lived it.
Right.
She might have had the two titles, but she never defended both separately. They were unified. So there is. Don't get me wrong, Mandy Rose, great. She can get a bit of more coverage and a couple of more subscriptions of OnlyFans. She can do what she wants. But leave Stephanie alone. Impact
100%.
March 27th. Knockouts World Tag Team Champions Ash and Heather by Elegance beat Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. They did get revenge in shoving Brooke in a cake. This is Impact. And much like Nick Nemeth had, Dana Brooks now got 4 weeks off. Great schedule if you can get it. World champion Master Slamovich defeated JC Jane as well. So JC Jane showed up just to be beaten. Hey, what can you do? So Monty, this is the time of the episode now, as we've just finished. What are your thoughts on NXT this past month for this update?
Yeah, man. Like I said, we kind of kicked it off with setting up the stage to one of the best cards in Roadblock that I've ever seen, and then, like I mentioned, in our two most prominent title pictures in regard to the women's championship and the NXT men's championship. Like I say, the potential for a three-way in the men's main event has me excited because, again, I think if that just seems to be where we're headed, and I think all three guys deserve it. Uh, the Sean Spears being champion was not necessarily something that I definitely wasn't anything I was looking forward to, but it's one of those things that you kind of just be like, okay, all right, that happened. Where are we going with it? And does this, like you said, does this end up being a short type of situation, and Ricky Saints can get us out of that situation immediately, or is this something that they're gonna put off, and maybe I don't want to book a whole bunch of multi-man matches, but it does feel like Ethan Page. Like, what do we do for Ethan Page and Stand Deliver? I want to see Ethan Page and Ricky Saints as soon as possible, but I don't know if I need to see that for the championship right off the bat. So it's really interesting to see, because I feel like you could just make a Ricky Saints Ethan Page match, no title, and do it that way. But I do also want Sean Spears to defend his championship or possibly get it off him as soon as possible. So I'm really confused. I'm really, really interested to see where we go with that. Heritage Cup, I told you, probably won't be here by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes, but I don't know. I just that thing is dead to me at this point. I'm sorry, James. It was really, really one of those really unique, special things that I feel like at this point it has been commodified and torn apart at this point. It's just I don't even really care at this point about it. So I don't know what they can do. Even my boy Noam Dar, I don't even want him to return to it. If he returns, go for the world title or something, or go for go for Sean Spears belt, no, if you want to. I don't know. I don't see a point in chasing the cup. Uh, yeah, in the tag division, we definitely have fraction, but I think a collision with the Hardys or whatever they decide to do, uh, I'm pretty sure fraction will knock it out the park. Will this stand and deliver be the time where they finally turn or something? I'm done playing that game. They together until they ain't. Okay, I'm not even. I'm done trying to predict when they will find. I'm done trying to predict when they're gonna turn because I just obviously I have no clue. But overall, and then like we talked about the women's division, like I said, we're still in that really good place, but that's obviously the strong suit. But other than like basically the whole Eddie Thorpe thing being meaningless, the culling being not interesting, anything Ridge Holland does, the stuff we said about
Mm,
Chase U, that's like 4 or 5 downs. But I think the heights that we had on that, not only that roadblock, but also where we seem to be heading in our title pictures, going towards Stand and Deliver, has me somewhat excited. I'm very interested. Is there a chance we get a knockout or a TNA title defended at this Stand and Deliver? I'll be interested to see that. Like, is that
yeah.
something that they will entertain doing? So it's really, I think it's it's still so many cool possibilities left on the table that I'm definitely I still think we're in a good place in NXT, even with some of the downsides.
Yeah, about that. Like you said, though, at the moment as well, even speaking about Roadblock, we've done NXT updates since 2015. So, and this is one of the best NXT events, including from that era as well. So, the hopes for Stand and Deliver are pretty big. So we'll talk about, because the next time we'll be doing an NXT show will be WrestleMania Sunday, and we'll do the
Oh
couple episodes
gosh.
leading up to Stand and Deliver, and then we'll review the event on WrestleMania Night 2. So last year I did say Okada would be involved, so I might be a little bit wrong. Might be a little bit wrong, but we'll just, chat between friends here. The hopeful Stand and Deliver. So we talk about either a triple threat match or what would you rather have? Trick versus Oba, or Trick, Oba, and Javon involved?
I probably would prefer the triple threat at this point.
That's
I
what I'm
probably
thinking.
prefer the
So
triple threat. Yeah.
triple threat for that. So then we'd have Jordan Grace and Stephanie just as a single. So you don't want two triple threats, do you? I mean, that
No,
would
no,
just
no,
be
no, 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 no. I don't. No, I don't want true triple threat. But I'm not too sure if they should put just 2 double championships on the line. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the interesting part. It's like,
yeah.
what do you do in regards to the North American? Because I feel like we have so many women, it'll be a shame to not have the North American title involved in some way, shape, or form. So I don't. Yeah, that's the interesting thing.
Well, what about then we do something crazy for Stephanie, and the opening of Stand and Deliver, we have like a 6-woman ladder match for the North American title, and then we put her in the main event against Jordan Grace.
And
I mean,
see, I want to say that, but like, do you want to take that chance? or we're gonna watch that match and we're gonna realize everybody else is taking crazy bumps, but Stephanie is the only person who only gets on the ladder at the end of the match or something
well, that's what I'm saying.
because she's trying to protect herself. It'll
If
be
we can't
interesting
get
though to see how they do it though.
Yeah, if we can't get a ladder there, we get a ladder for Fraxium versus the
Yeah,
Hardys. But what panics me in Impact, I don't know if you've seen it, the Nemeths. Well, Nick Nemeth has now
yeah.
turned heel. Again, it's great because he's relevant. He's actually had a good match recently. I don't know what happened with him, but as soon as he turned heel, he's interesting again. So it might be the Nemeth beating the Hardys. I don't think we're going to get Nemeth and Fraxium. I don't think anybody wants that.
No,
So
yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe
We don't want that.
maybe straight up Hardys and Faxim, or maybe something like you talk about Motor City Machine Guns, or someone like
Mm-hmm.
that. Maybe even a DIY or something. They've been a
Yeah,
bit
a
quiet recently, haven't they?
DIY. Yeah. Oh man, don't get me started on like a 4-way, like a 4-way with the hardest DIY Motor City Machine Guns did. They was like, don't turn me to an armchair booker because
No, 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 no.
it'll turn into WWE Universe. It'll turn into the Universe mode on 2K for me because
Yeah.
then I can just create all what I want. But yeah, no. Like I said, the possibilities are endless. So I can't wait to, like you say, to kind of discuss as it comes together the potential card because I think right now we are in line for possibly a special stand and deliver most likely. But I can't. Hopefully, if they put it together in the way I'm assuming, but we'll see how it goes. Also, they said right now the NXT talent are not happy right now because with the start time. I don't know if you know, they said it would be like 9:30 in the morning
Oh my God.
of like night one WrestleMania, and I'm just like that means they would have to be getting ready for the show 7 hours earlier, so it'd be like 2 a.m.
Wow.
of them getting ready. Like that sounds horrible. So I would be mad too if that's true because that sounds horrible. But yeah, 9:30 in the morning. I couldn't believe it either. 9:30 uh in the morning. And I get it, the early start time. Like I just not the first time, but uh, you know, usually it's like what, like noonish or like a little bit like it's
Yeah,
usually
you
a little bit better than that. Like, but that's
finishes about an hour
very
before
early.
kickoff. Yeah, an hour before
Right, right,
kickoff. But
right.
then again, WrestleMania kickoff this year is probably going to be about fucking 5 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna talk to death about that one. So
Yeah.
we'll
And
see how it goes though.
yeah, it'll be interesting, like I said, and that's the next time we'll talk about NXT. Should say TNA getting on it as well. They're going to have an Unbreakable event on the Thursday night. So it'll be a TNA pay per view and then obviously SmackDown and then part of that. So again, I think that's quite nice, TNA. They would have had a show anyway, but now
Right.
they can maybe have a couple of NXT talents
I
on
was
there
about
as
to
well.
say I expect to see Wesley.
Yeah. And finally, we had we had a Von Wagner sighting. I don't
The
know.
legend.
I think the man who has made plenty of updates, but he was in. Did we actually see him, or was it a weird acid dream? Because I'm sure he was on AEW.
Hey, I saw the screen grab, so I watched it back, and I don't know if I ever got a good shot of him when I watched the episode, but he was there according to all the photos, and so they did report he was also backstage. And all I have to say is this, Tony: screw that fraud. Danny Garcia? Who needs him? We need Von Wagner as the TNT champion.
Oh, come on,
John Moxley? Who needs him? We got Von Wagner.
Von
Swerve?
fucking Wagner.
We
Yes.
don't need no swerve. We got Von. Sign him, Tony. Book him.
Hopefully, he can be successful as Parker Bordeaux. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. You can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
At my Monty Pod on Twitter. That's where I'm at. I have some exciting announcements coming as soon as we actually get started on getting it done. But that's where you will find it out when they are ready and when I am back to flowing like I like to flow. But yeah, at my Monty Pod. That's where I'm at primarily.
And the Double also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at podcast at gmail.com. And YouTube, the Double Podcast is celebrating 10 years of the Double Podcast on YouTube with the latest clips, short series, and everything else in between. And like you mentioned earlier as well, we have got a WNR universe at the moment. And yes, Drew McIntyre is the main guy. Also, podcast got the same time YouTube to do SoundCloud on your phone and also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be the New Japan catch up. And I am looking forward to this so much because after Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom, we weren't sure. But Monty, I think you agree, they have bounced back tremendously since New Beginning.
Oh yeah, man. I think they're doing some of their best work in a lot of ways. They've made some really fantastic moments going forward. Again, I know I had a lot of my New Japan mutuals. They heard in the last New Japan pod that I did, and a lot of them shared sentiments, but there's also some people who ready to argue me down, and they've definitely let it be known that look at New Japan now, look at where we're headed, and I'm like, you have to give credit where credit is due. I'm still scarred. Last year was rough, but I still get my fix of New Japan, and like you said, they're definitely in a good spot, or at least seem to be building momentum towards a good spot in a lot of ways. So it'll be cool to get into some of it.
So we got that next weekend, and of course WrestleMania will be here before we know it. So until then, I've been James Owens, and I was joined by the mind of Monty. Monty, thanks for joining me, and again another enjoyable show, getting us to another stand and deliver.
Yeah, it's always cool, and yeah, man, we're here again for another one. And I mean, the way Roadblock going, man, the way Roadblock was, we might be setting up for one of the best ever. So I don't want to put too much pressure on them, but I mean, they kind of did it to themselves.
Um, we always do it to ourselves anyway, but that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.